Hello, this is Dave Dubois, and I unfortunately forgot to turn on the audio until about 14 minutes and 30 seconds into the webinar, so I apologize for that. So if you want, you could listen to the beginning of the webinar in silence, or go ahead and forward into 14 second, 30 second point, and listen to the audio there. Again, I'm sorry.
severe is this yellowish, brownish color. So we've got a big improvement, but we still have drought conditions and impacts from those. They just don't go away, even though it's been a historic rain with 1 week of good rain after 3 years of drought. Here's a comparison of where we were before, back in August, and where we are now. So that's quite an improvement. Big improvement in all areas. Again, reflecting the widespread nature of the rainfall and the long duration and, of course, extreme rainfall accumulations. So 75% of Mexico is in moderate extreme drought. Nearly the entire state is abnormally dry to extreme. In other words, we don't have but a small area that's in none in terms of drought. But that's where we are now. More rain, more improvement is possible, more precipitation. But that's a huge improvement, obviously. And going into the winter, and this is a good segue because now we're going to talk about extended weather climate outlooks. Going into the winter outlook, if we have a below normal season, at least we have this rain to count on to carry us through part of next year in terms of water resource. But it's not nearly the type of input that spring runoff will do in terms of the amount of water resource for the state. Model consensus. Here we are that supports ENSO neutral. So basically, although the probabilities for El Nino have grown, the overarching is the neutral condition. And you can see that comparison here. Over 50% or slightly more favorable probabilistic forecast for an ENSO. Continuing. Now, this, you can see we're in ENSO neutral, but you see the trend is towards a reduction of the ENSO neutral. Okay? And we look at it in terms of these ensemble of statistical dynamical models. The two lines that you need to look at, or a couple of lines. Anything between 0.5 and minus 0.5 is considered neutral. So you can see the bulk of the lines are within that, and the cluster is closely clustered here. There's not a lot of spread, is what I want to say, in these lines. When you average out the dynamical or statistical average, you come up with this line down here. When you average out the dynamical average, you come up in this line down here, both of which stay within the neutral. And the CPC consensus is kind of hidden, but it's right in here too. So all of these lines, these broader lines colored in here, these are the consensus values or averages from the different models and the consensus of the actual human forecasters. They all are within the neutral. And so we know what neutral has done for us in the past, and so we can pretty much extrapolate that into the future. This is the most recent CPC forecast for October, and we see over New Mexico basically equal chances. That is equally chance, these are statistical, equal chance of above, normal, or below. That's October only. And the temperatures are above normal, and this is something we continue to see. When you look through October to December, when you look through that period, October, November, December, still equal chances. And beyond that, we don't have the forecast, but I took a sneak peek, and they have below normal in their predictions going into early next year. But that's farther out in time. Let's hold that until we get closer in time. Here's the temperature outlook, again, above normal. And this kind of summarizes seasonal drought outlook. Persisting drought where it exists, and basically in the white areas is calling for basically a normal condition. That's what we have from the National Weather Service. I think that was the last slide. Yeah, and of course you know how to get a hold of us. That's what I have from the National Weather Service, Dave.
All right, any questions for Sean? I hear a lot of quiet, so anything else? All right. Well, good. I appreciate that, Sean.
Thank you.
And fill in for Chuck.
Yeah.
Keeping Chuck busy on other things, I guess.
He's at a training or a tabletop exercise for dam break at a different location.
I see. Important stuff. Okay, good. All right, let's move on the agenda to U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. So Raymond Abeta.
Hello.
Hello.
Start on the Rio Grande with the storages there, and Otoro was 8,823 acre feet. Heron 90,429. Melvado 18,991. Abiquiu 152, 137. Cochiti 71,820. Let's see, Elephant Butte 152, 871. Caballo 39,668. The rains did pretty good through here and gave us a bit of excitement through some areas. There was quite a bit of inflow above Coach T, below Coach T, near Chamita. So we had some excitement in those areas. We have a plug now below Coach T that kind of restricted some of the flow of the Rio Grande there. It's kind of going into the overbank area. And we landed up with close to 25 to 30,000 acre feet of inflow from these rains, and we're currently dumping now out of Abiquiu and Cochiti, and they did evacuate the water that came into Hemis. So we're dealing and looking what we'll do with the plug there. They're able to get up so far to about 660 CFS below Cochiti. So we'll start evacuating that water as we go. And on the Pecos is where it really got exciting. I'll read you the storages there. Santa Rosa was 102,064 acre feet. Sumner 36,910. Brantley 37,163. And Avalon 52,64. Now before this storm hit, all these reservoirs except for Santa Rosa had a little bit of rain from July, but all of them had been like in the 4-digit numbers there for like the last 3 years or so. I mean, just no storage of just 4,000 here, 4,500 there. We gained over 160,000 acre feet out of this storm event. I mean, that's a lot of water, 160,000 acre feet. It's pretty much like 70% of our runoff in, 3 days or so.
Yeah, the Santa Rosa inflow is, we have roughly 70% of the normal snowpack March through July in 4 days.
Yeah, so, in fact, we have so much now that CID and working with the state, and they're sending some water down to the state line for hopefully some credit and also to make some more room, which is unreal. I mean, they're trying to make room now, whereas we were just barely making it, just barely keeping water in the reservoirs. So that was a huge bonus. It got kind of scary around Artesia and Roswell and Carlsbad, and we were doing a lot of flood ops throughout that whole thing. But just amazing to see what's happened to those reservoirs, that they're just about full. So it was great, just great. We'll have full reservoirs going into next year, and the district should have full allotment. Just haven't seen that in years now with this drought. So, Sean, sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Curtis, do you want to add anything that you saw?
I think you summed it up, Ray. Just to give you a perspective, that Santa Rosa rose up 44 feet in elevation from the beginning of the storm to the end. And like Ray said, we're in the works as water offs right now is to maybe have some wiggle room of having a place to store any additional water that we might receive from here until the end of irrigation season. So you summed it up well. So thanks, Ray.
Yeah, so that's where we are, folks. That's worked out great for us. Any questions?
So Curtis, it was 44 feet?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
44 feet.
Yeah.
That's great.
We had some stories, pretty crazy stories. That there's some folks fishing out there in the lake, parked their truck, thought it was going to be safe from the rise of the water, and the park rangers actually had to tell the gentleman, say, you need to move your truck or your truck's going to go underwater. So
Wow.
It was remarkable change in elevation, rise.
I mean, these dam tenders have been looking up, the window the last several years and just seen this little tiny puddle in the middle where the reservoir used to be, and now they're full reservoirs now.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's amazing. I mean, I'm sure the GS will cover some of that, but we saw flows 25, 30,000 at least, we think, in some areas. I mean, 25,000 CFS.
Yeah. And they haven't really verified it, but PDL gauge showed 35,000 CFS, and they still need to verify it. But that's an alarming rate. That's huge.
Yeah, when we're doing some of our emergency work with it, there was one area they verified it was like 3 miles wide. The river was 3 miles wide and moving. That was below where the Hondo comes in. Above, I think it was above Roswell and Artesia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What really gave us fits too were those not ungauged, but uncontrolled arroyos like Black Canyon and Rocky Arroyo.
Yeah.
Those are just incredible flows and it's all below Brantley.
So there should be some good state deliveries. We haven't heard any of those calculations yet either. So that's what we have, unless you have any questions. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Ray. All right, Sean, do you have, did you get anything from NRCS?
No,
Or
I
we
not.
just, okay, we can move on. Move on to Anne-Marie's presentation with the U.S. Geological Survey.
Hey, good afternoon. This is kind of not the stuff that everybody wants to see. This is the records through the end of August. 21 stations, more or less unregulated flow. I did do these, and these, I would say that these through the end of August was very similar to what we saw through the end of July. I did do some calculations on what we have for September up to now, and if you look at the map, you can see that currently we have one station that through August was into the normal range, and that was the Delaware River. And if you add in the stuff that we got in September so far, it kicks the Mogollon and Gila rivers up into the above average range. And I'll talk about that a little bit when we get down there. And also kind of went through and looked at where the highest instantaneous maximums were for this year. So I'll go through what we had till the end of August, and then talk a little bit about where the highest instantaneous maximums were. So through the end of August, San Juan River Basin, Animas River, the number 19, is at 36% of average. Upper Rio Grande tributaries, numbers 7 to 12. 16 to 45% of average. Jemez River, number 13, 30%. In the Upper Rio Grande main stem, the Rio Grande at Taos Junction Bridge at 40%. Moving to the Canadian River Basin, the tributaries in Colfax County, which is 1, 2, and 3, 10 to 29%. Moore County, 5 and 6, are both at about 6%. And the main stem has risen up to about 35% by the end of August. The Upper Pecos, San Miguel County, Pecos River at Pecos is 36%, and Gallinas at Montezuma at 21% of average. The Lower Pecos, Otero, and Eddy counties, that's numbers 16, 17, and 18, range from 25 to 81% of average. And that 81% is the Delaware River at Red Bluff, which kicked up to 92% in July. And then in September, the average kicks up to 197% of average. Probably that will go down once we get the whole month in there and the data is finalized, but just preliminary estimates. And looking at the instantaneous values on the 12th, they had instantaneous maximum of 2,180 CFS. I'm sorry, that's the daily mean. The highest instantaneous value was 16,200 CFS on the 12th. For that station, the highest was actually 81,400 CFS, which happened in 1955. So quite a bit below that, but still way higher than anything we've seen in a long time at that site. The Gila Basin, Mogollon Creek, 62% of average by the end of August, and like I said, for September, based on what we have so far, it kicks up to 174% of average. Let's see, the maximum instantaneous peak was about 8,800, and period of record for that was in 1967 was 10,800. So it's kind of in the range of the maximum for the period of record for that station. Gila River at Red Rock, 59% of average by the end of August. With the additional rain in September, kicks up to about 149% of average. Had two periods of high flow, one from the 11th to 12th, and then again from the 15th to the 18th. And the highest instantaneous peaks came during that second period. The maximum was 12,000 CFS that occurred on the 16th. Period of record for that gauge, the highest instantaneous was 48,800, and that was in 1978. I have another table on the second page if you want to scroll to that. And this is just where I went through and looked at where the highest instantaneous maximum was for this same series of gauges. And you can see that there are a couple of them, Canadian River, Taylor Springs, and Rio Ojo Caliente, that actually had their peak in July. And it looks like the Rio Ojo Caliente number 11, that actually might be the peak of record for that station. Then a couple of them, Upper Canadian River, Vermejo River, and Poneal Creek, numbers 1 and 2, had their maximum in August. And if you look way over on the right, you can see how that compares to the period of record for those gauges. And for everything else that we use in this analysis, the peaks were in the September events. You can see the Delaware River, I said, was 16,200, and that is looks like above what was the previous maximum for that gauge. And Mogollon Creek near Cliffs also is pretty close to what the maximum was for that gauge. Upper Pecos, they had their maximum on September 13th. The Pecos near Pecos, 2,200, and the Gallinas Creek near Montezuma, 1,500. And then you can see how that compares. Actually, is quite a bit less than the maximum that we have on record for those gauges. So that's about all I have, unless there are any questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Much appreciated. Okay, so if there are no questions for Anne Marie, we can move on to the Office of State Engineer with John and Molly.
Molly and I are debating how to do. We'll be pretty quick. It's just we're gonna have just sort of more of a visual thing of what Raymond was talking about. So we kind of took out a lot of the stream gauge stuff and compact stuff that we've been showing because that's all in flux right now, particularly the compact stuff. A lot of data crunching going on over at the Pecos guys, and the Rio Grande guys seem pretty happy. So hopefully that plays out. A lot of that water came in below ODWE gauge, so we hope for a big turnaround there. We were thinking again we were going to get dig into our credit a little bit, and looks like maybe reverse. We're getting data from Corps of Engineers and USGS. Again, it's all preliminary. Pulled it down today or yesterday. And then for the reservoir average and last year storage data, we used basically NRCS data for the end of August, except we're utilizing USGS data from end of July, and Sumner and Brantley, we used NRCS in July. So as you guys all know, red line's average for this particular date. We're talking the 23rd or late September. Blue is what we are currently, and the brown is where we were this time last year. So starting with Santa Rosa, that's pretty, we obviously are thrilled with that. So that's pretty exciting. First time we've seen that for a while, so we can start taking the Pecos off the drought list, I think. Sumner, similar kind of things, really blown away the average, and just really changed the dynamic of what's going on in that river virtually overnight. And Brantley, the same kind of thing. So we all have heard that story. Kind of a little bit more stable, renewed. I think Conscious. We didn't put Conscious in here. Conscious picked up, I think, quite a bit. Over 100,000 acre feet. I think last number I saw was 136,000 acre feet. Maybe the guy from the Corps on still. Well, I guess he left. I was wondering if maybe
I'm on. I'll give you that number. Let me look it up right quick.
I think Conscious went way up. I mean, we're reporting 157,000 in storage. That had been so low that there was arguments or debate over how to manage it because of the lease agreements and stuff like that. The level dropped below 20,000. So that was a big improvement. So that captures some of the water that came off the east slopes here, and but did bump up, just under 150,000. Still below average though. So we've lost a little bit better than we were last year, but not up at that average where we'd like to be.
Yeah, and Conscious volume-wise is 158,473 acre feet of water.
Yeah, so that's, let's see, what was it, 158? And we were at 20-ish, so 140,000 acre feet. So that's a lot of water just in one reservoir. So we'll take a look at that maybe next time. So that's the good news. Now let's start looking at sort of the rest of the state and the state of affairs. Navajo, I think it's kind of interesting. We're well off average. This time last year was probably the first time we saw it kind of dip below that average. Still though well into 1 million plus acre feet. We're down from where we were this time last year. I understand a lot of the reclamation models are showing that for the 24-month runs that they anticipate this to stabilize, but we've been watching this go down for the last couple of years and continues to fall, and we get down and around this area, 400,000 acre feet, that starts shortage sharing agreements. And overall, the concern, of course, is also, well, that's one concern, and another concern is the San Juan Chama project, so we'll get to that next. kind of got these in the wrong order. Sorry about that. But Elvado, here we're dealing with native flows. As everybody knows, normally average this time of year, we're looking at 120,000 acre feet. This time last year, about 35,000 acre feet or so. We're just at 20,000 acre feet. So didn't see the same kind of impact in the Upper Chama as we did in the Cochiti area or in the Pecos River. So I think that's kind of a notable sort of outcome of this statewide event, insofar as that our main stem, Rio Grande, didn't really see a whole lot in the upper portions. The Navicu and Heron, these are San Juan Chama project storages, so this is water that's come over the divide. Normally we would anticipate just under 350,000 acre feet in Heron. This time last year we're just over 200,000, about 220, something like that. We're below 100,000 now, as Raymond was saying. So just this gives you a sense of we're still eyeing that snowpack that's coming up. And that's going to be a big tell for us, particularly in the San Juans for the San Juan Chama project, but also for the Rio Grande. And Navicu stays pretty stable. Kind of a lot of water's moved through there, and so it's starting to come down a little bit off average. It's been average there for quite a while, and it's we picked up a little bit here. But I think, Raymond, you're saying maybe some of this is pass-through water. And I think it's important to understand pass-through water in terms of drought. Article 7 conditions are still in place, so that means the state of New Mexico cannot store water upstream. And we'll look at why that is here. Going to Elfin Butte. Again, we're just under 200,000 here. Raymond's number was there, about 152. I think we have the same from the core. So a little bit better than this time last year, but not a whole lot. So for all that rain, we didn't see a whole lot of improvement in Elfin Butte in southern New Mexico. And I'm sure those of you watching the water issues know that southern New Mexico is one of the areas where we have some real contention. So that's unfortunate, but it just puts it into perspective, really. I think this is a good indicator of just how intense this drought has been, and really the kind of, we had this epic storm that probably no one on the phone call has ever seen before, and where our main storage for our southern irrigators didn't even hardly register. Normally we want to be up there about 1.2 million. Full supply, for those who don't know, is about 760, so somewhere up in here. That would give a full supply for the project, and then 400,000 is the Article 7 turn on, turn off. If it's below 400,000, New Mexico can't store any native waters. Caballo, big winter there, but still only 40,000 acre feet. So when combined with the Elfin Butte, projections right now is at least starting the irrigation season next year, EBID, and maybe, I don't know how the guys in Texas do it, maybe have an irrigation, more than one irrigation that's being projected at 2. But again, Caballo is still kind of way off there from where we'd anticipate this kind of year. So with that, here's the droughts. So all these presentations kind of go on there, and we've got some other links to various stuff that the state's working on. And with that, I stand for questions.
All right, thanks, John. Any questions for John? Okay. Well, we're pretty quiet today because we're still in awe of what's going on. But yeah, we still see a lot to gain from the snowpack if we get one this year. So thanks for that perspective, John. Let's move on to Ryan over at New Mexico Department of Agriculture. You still on, Ryan? Everybody still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. I didn't hear anything, so I didn't know if I was still connected or not. So, I don't know. Did you guys get anything from NMDA? Any of the crop monthly crop report?
We didn't get any document here.
No? Okay. Well, I guess we lost.
I've seen it.
Okay.
I don't have it with me, but I think it shows, consistent with what we've seen. We've seen quite an improvement in rangeland conditions just within the week or 2 weeks that it comes out. I'm trying to think, what else had it shown? Looking at Molly, did you get a chance to read it? I don't think I'm trying to look.
That's generally it.
Yeah, I mean, the rangeland definitely improved. It was notable. And for those who don't get it, maybe we can just send it out to the group.
Yeah, let me do that. I did see over at you guys in the National Weather Service had a nice graphic. I think it was your fuels person. Do you want to talk about that, Sean? Or there's basically photographs of comparing this year, just looking at one location. I thought that was pretty interesting. It was posted on the public website, and it had a picture of. Let me see if I can find it. It was. It was over. It was over at Albuquerque Foothill vegetation results. It was posted. Actually, it was posted on Facebook.
It was early. It was on this earlier in the day. But.
Yeah. But basically, it showed a photo, 4 photos: June, July, August, and September, and I guess it was in the foothills, and it showed kind of looking at the fuel density just from pictures, seeing how there was basically bare ground, just rocks, and then by September 21st, which was Saturday, you could not see the ground, and I thought that was pretty interesting to see it.
I haven't seen that.
Okay.
Seen it.
Oh, you're out of. I see. You're not in yours.
Do you remember where you saw it?
Well, actually, it was on Facebook, but I think it was also linked to the front page where you are now as one of those tabs a day or so ago. I don't know.
Oh, I was there this morning. Maybe that news brings up the local stuff. No, just up a little bit higher. Up a little more, and then to the right. Just straight, yeah.
That's the same.
Is that the national?
Same
Oh, okay.
Was that the national?
Let me see. Go to the Facebook page.
It'd be interesting if other folks were doing the same thing, either at BLM or Forest Service or State Lands Office were doing, in terms of assessing the fuel. Yeah, there's that picture there. It's right over there.
Can you double click on it, see if it comes down?
Yeah, that's it.
That's what a little rain will do for you,
Yeah,
especially in the desert, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just
I'm
thought...
sure that's,
Go ahead.
well, that's just indicative of what that's natural, and of course the rangelands are probably seeing something similar,
Yeah.
which is helpful to the agricultural sector.
And also the fire community, I think, we're going to see a lot of fuels coming up this year, and in that ENSO signal is going to be real key for our fire people. I think we're looking at is it going to be a dry rest of the going into 2014. So was just reminded of that.
Exactly.
All right, so moving on, I think we have both Joy Lynn and Emelita on the call. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
With the Farm Service Agency.
Yes.
You'd like to guys give us an update?
Well, we went through our loss assessment reports a few minutes ago, And the county offices are supposed to, when they have a natural disaster, do a loss assessment report within 24 hours. And as of today, just in September, we've had 12 counties due to flash flooding and excessive rain. And I don't have any details on those. I can tell you what counties they are.
Sure.
We have Cibola, Chaves, Catron, DeBaca, Eddy, Guadalupe, Lincoln, Otero, Rio Arriba, San Juan, Sierra, and Socorro. And that's really all we have as of right now.
So what were the counties down south? Were there? Did you said Socorro? Did you say Sierra too?
We have Socorro, Sierra, Otero, Lincoln, of course, Eddy County,
right?
Catron, Chaves, Cibola.
Okay. And then you said the deadline was 24 hours after the event. Is that the timeline?
Yes, they're supposed to do that. They don't always remember to do that, but we had 12 that did. And some of them aren't complete, so I can't give you an accurate report on the damage. So.
Okay. All right. Any questions regarding assessment and on that area? All right. More quiet? Okay. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks. Before we, I think that, is there any other if you have any other questions, now is the time to bring them up. Any other things from any other of the speakers?
Dave, I have a question, and Victor's on. I don't know. I saw his name up there. What are you guys, and Sean too, maybe? What are you guys anticipating with the drought monitor this week? Are you guys expecting it to remain more or less the same, or expecting additional improvement?
This is Dave. I don't see a lot of change from that initial. I think we're still seeing that major push, and then seeing how things are going to turn out as if they remain dry after a while. It was difficult for me to just kind of get a handle on how, when you put an event like this into the equation, how it really affects. I mean, that was what I was struggling with, and I think Victor, who's usually on this call, kind of helped out, pushed that forward. At least I think I don't know if you guys in Albuquerque provided a lot of input or not, but it just in terms of the one category improvement, and I wouldn't expect seeing a lot of change now yet. I haven't seen a lot of other events coming, so I'll just wait and see. What do you think, Sean?
Well, we did interact with Victor, and as we were going through the various drafts, we don't want to overemphasize the improvement because your Drought reservoir, the Elephant Butte, the reservoir levels and other things reflect the ongoing problem. Obviously, the smaller reservoirs did very well on the Pecos, et cetera. So there's some definite improvements, but we didn't want to wipe out the drought with this one rain, and we didn't. So is there going to be any significant additional improvement? We'd have to get another big significant precipitation event. Routine, normal thing will keep us from going the other direction, but to get us even further along, we'd have to get a big improvement. What's going to really, really help is what we're all waiting for is the big snowpack in the winter. So we have above normal winter, we'll climb even farther out. If we have a normal or below, we're not going to see a big improvement. My guess is that we may see a few areas that we can adjust where they got pockets of additional good rains or things. That was again, with widespread heavy rain, that's pretty unusual for New Mexico. Especially the two things I mentioned, the wide area and also duration with rain. So see that again is not likely. We'll see improvements as we get pockets of additional precip, most likely up north, where we'll be closer to the storm track. But if we get a good Baja low coming in the winter and dropping good snows over the Sacramentos and the southern and the Gila and all that, that could definitely help them climb farther out too.
Yeah, 'cause they're pretty close, right?
Yeah, they're getting closer.
So I was just curious, just to know, because people ask, and I just...
Yeah, hey, John, this is Victor. I'll go ahead and forward a copy of Draft 2 of the Drought Monitor, which I haven't looked at, for Draft 2 of this week's USDM Altitude, which I haven't looked at. But I think on the table, at this point in time, maybe y'all can comment, there's basically 3 areas right now of extreme drought across New Mexico. The northeasternmost one would stay unchanged. The one that covers Curry County, I think, would probably be removed and go to D2.
Okay, hold on a second. Sean, do you mind
was Curry County one of the list of counties that was on the disaster declaration for flooding? I didn't jot those down.
Yeah, I went pretty quick. I don't think it was.
Okay, well, anyway, on the table, at least proposed, is removal of extreme drought in Curry County. Does that seem okay, or are we aware of any ongoing bad impacts over there?
I don't think so.
They had earlier in the before the extreme rain that we got, they had a couple of good heavy rain events before. So I think that's probably a good candidate to remove extreme.
The adjacent Texas County, we've got it only in D1, so I think removal of D3 there in Curry County seems pretty good. So that would be removing one area of extreme drought across the state. I think the other proposal is pretty much the third area of D3 or extreme drought. That largest one there that runs sort of north-south, from, I guess, roughly Albuquerque, southward. That will be shrunk in size pretty much. There will still be a couple pockets of D3. It will be shrunk in size.
Victor, so Curry County, one of the things I'm sure you're aware, we've got, a lot of dry land farming in that area. And so not seeing the adjacent counties, that makes a lot of sense if the adjacent counties are in D2 to knock that down.
They're actually in D1.
They're in D1, yeah. So, that makes a lot of sense. That sounds right.
Yeah, so that one seems pretty logical. Like I said, the other one, the northeasternmost one, that covers, I guess, Mora County, and Colfax County. That would stay untouched. And like I said, the third area, D3, that runs sort of north-south there from roughly Albuquerque or just east of Albuquerque, southward, that would probably be shrunk in size some. So overall, I think there will be some improvement this week, as the impacts of those prolific rains continue to shake out. But there is no widespread. Another area that Sean and I talked about last week was removal, at least the proposed removal of D0 along the Rio Grande there, between Albuquerque and Elephant Butte, or there around Socorro, just west of Socorro, I think. And I guess we were able to get that dialed back to D0, and that stays unchanged. So it stays D0, which I think from a long-term drought, water perspective still makes sense, just to have something showing in there.
Yeah.
As Sean showed, at the 3-year time period right now, it's the second driest ever. So if you happen to get any kind of short-term drought coming in the face of this long-term drought, you're going to go south. You're going to go down. Things are going to head south quickly.
Yeah, it is. I just did an ACES query. It's looking from Hillsboro. They're still 2 inches behind for the water year, and right where I am in Las Cruces, we're about 3.3 inches behind, and even Gila, they're still over an inch behind. So at least for the water year. So I think I think that we should leave that 0 in.
Yeah, there was no expansion of D nothing anywhere.
Yeah.
There was no new areas of D nothing that were added anywhere, which is good.
Yeah.
I do think that the dialing back or the ratcheting back of some of the extreme drought, areas seems pretty like I mentioned earlier, seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I agree. Makes a lot of sense.
I'll get a copy of the latest draft out to you all.
That'd be great.
You can just take a peek at it and provide any comments. I just got it here a few minutes ago.
Well, thank you, Victor. Thanks, guys, for updating us on that. That's a common question I get, so it's helpful.
Well, that was basically the first question. Oh, we had our drought.
Well, I'm getting more detailed, like, what are going to be the changes in the drought monitor? Where are we going to see the most improvement? Are we going to see the knockout? Because if we contrast, I guess the abnormally dry corresponds with not being in drought, because on the drought outlook, looks like it pretty well matches up with the D0. So I'm assuming I'm getting that right. There's that little area in the southwestern part of the state in the outlook that shows no drought. So that's interesting. Cool. Thanks, guys. That's all the questions I have. Rock and roll. I guess the only other thing, Dave, I don't know if you've heard, we're thinking, what was the date? I still haven't figured out the date. The next drought meeting is...
You mean the...
Like November. We were thinking...
The task force?
November. We may have, yeah, for task force. I don't have a date down, so I'll keep an eye out. But we're thinking maybe like the first or second week of November. Does that still make sense to you guys? For the next meeting? For the next
drought task force.
Beginning
November. I think so.
Yeah. You could have definitely a better idea of going into winter, what we're going to think we're going to.
That's what I was thinking, is at least October behind us, and we'll know.
Yeah, give us another month to look at the forecasts, the long lead ones. Okay. So let's look at our next drought work group call in October. We get the CPC come out on the 17th. What'd you say, Sean?
Well, I was going to say the November meeting isn't scheduled yet.
No, we don't have a date yet. We're
scheduled for after we get our latest drought. So sometime, it usually comes out in the third week, right? It's around the same date in the month.
Well, November's a tricky month because, no, that would be all right. When is Thanksgiving? The 20th?
Week after.
Yeah.
That's 21st is the third.
The 21st is when it comes out.
Yeah, so we could do it 21, 22.
I think the chair, the state engineer, was thinking more early November because if there's legislative issues,
well,
they'll be
closer to that, the better. We
Okay.
still have some more information. Cool, and that's all I was bringing up. Go ahead, David.
So for our October call, do you want to have it later in the month, closer to that, so things will be a little fresh? Although the forecast remains the same on the 17th, the CPC products. Let me just throw out a number. How about the 24th of October? That's Thursday, October 24.
Let me have our schedule here.
Okay.
I don't think we can't do the week of the 21st.
Okay, how about the following week, 29th?
29th works.
29th, that's October 29. Anybody have any heartburn about that one?
29th, October 29th.
Okay.
John just was stepped out to get the schedule. Hang on a second.
Oh, okay, yeah, it'll be pending.
30th is a better date because Chuck he's on leave on the 29th.
Okay, so how about 30th?
30th.
You want to do another afternoon? 2 o'clock on the 30th?
I don't think that would be. Hey, he's actually on a shift. So for him, the day shift is better if he does it in the morning.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the 10 o'clock time is actually better.
Okay. I won't be available. I have teach a class on Wednesday mornings. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, my teaching mornings.
Well, we can,
I can start it off, and then you guys can take it over.
yeah.
I'll be there the first 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
What time's your class over?
It's over at 11:30.
We could do it at noon.
You want to do it at noon?
Still early enough. You do it noon to 1. Is that a problem for you guys, or? Make that work.
You could do it during, it'd be a lunch hour seminar.
Brown bag.
Brown bag. There you go. Bring your bag. Okay. That sounds good. So the next drought monitoring work group call will be October 30th, noon to 1 p.m. Okay.
Great.
Thank you, guys. Much appreciated. If there's anything forward, any other products, just forward it on to the group, like the ag report.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, see ya.
Always got it on their to-do list. See you guys.